Okay, so I normally don't do a show on Sunday, but since I missed the show on Thursday, or was it Friday, whichever day it was that I missed the show, and I've got a lot of stuff to get through, so I'm going to go ahead and do one today, especially since I don't know when I'm going to get around to doing one on Monday, because I'm going to go visit my parents, and I haven't told my mom yet, so I'll probably give her a call later on and be like, "Hey, I'm coming over," and she'll be like, "Oh, okay, that's fine," and then like that'll be that. Excuse me. But I got finally got my package from Mattel Creations that got delayed because the delivery driver, decided he didn't want to deliver it. Like it said that he attempted delivery and there was no note left at my house. Like they're supposed to. FedEx is supposed to leave a note at your house, when they attempt delivery and miss you. No note was left. The picture that was taken of the package supposedly at my residence, I could barely see anything in the background, and what I could see, I didn't recognize. So I think he just flaked out on me, So whatever, it is what it is. I've got it now. So yeah, I'll go ahead and open the. That's the main reason I'd missed the doing a show that day was because I was having to deal with trying to figure out where the hell my package was. So, but I've got it. I got it. So we got a few figures from Mattel Creations to open up this week, and one of them is Rio Blast, the heroic transforming gunslinger, modern posing retro play. No cross sell on the back, no bio, no nothing like that. Just a picture of Rio Blast jumping into action, blasting at Modulok, or at least half of Modulok, the dominant half of Modulok, I suppose, since on the Filmation cartoon, this one was his extra head. This is his main head, and Grizzlor in the background looking kind of amused because I guess he doesn't like Modulok very much, so he's just happy to see somebody shooting at Modulok. But this packaging is unusual. It might look at first glance like standard Masters Universe Origins packaging, but it is not. It is actually made to be reclosable, so we can put everything back in the package when we're done with it. Here's the comic book, which is in a little baggie. All the stuff is in a little baggie. The comic book and the paper that tells us what parts are removable. And since Rio Blast is going to be a slightly different type of figure, I suppose let's have a look at that instruction sheet and what parts are removable and what parts aren't, because those might be different on him since he's got different style legs. It doesn't actually say anything about whether or not the parts are removed. And also, he's got the hoses that plug into his sides. I believe that those are just sculpted onto the figure's arms in the original version, although it's been a long time since I've looked at the original version. I don't currently have one, but Rio Blast was one of the last figures from the original vintage Masters Universe line that I got when I was a kid. So I was kind of starting to get out of like playing with action figures at least by that point. So I didn't get a whole lot of Masters of the Universe that year, but I did get him because I thought he was pretty cool. And every 80s toy line needs a cowboy. I'm still disappointed that Superpowers didn't see fit to give us a Jonah Hex. But, G.I. Joe had Wild Bill, and, Silver Hawks had Bluegrass, and I don't think Thundercats had a cow. Did they have a cowboy? They might have on the cartoon, but I don't remember them having one in the toy line. Uh, Transformers didn't really have a cowboy, but you know, Optimus Prime was kind of based off of John Wayne, so that tracks close enough. So he does come with a comic book, and we open up on like a what looks like a Wild West ghost town, and it says, "All is desolate in a quaint desert town. The wind blows with a desperate voice, help!" And then someone says, "Is it Hordak?" Excellent. Each of you will make fine feed from my slime pit. Hold your spurs, space fiends. You ain't done. You ain't taking them folks nowhere. You ought to get before you meet your maker. His name is Rio Blast. He is Eternia's greatest gunslinger. And I've got news. He don't like you any more than I do. So there we go. And we see The Horde troopers raised their weapons, but Rio Blast was quicker to the draw. In a searing instant, laser fire scorched the air as dust enveloped the formidable figures. Anyone care for some scrap metal? After the smoke cleared, all could see that the Horde Trooper Prime. That's another figure they're selling on as an exclusive, isn't it? All could see the Horde Trooper Prime and his troops were annihilated in a hail of energy rounds. And then we got a Horde ship flying through outer space, and it says, piloting the Horde glider, Rio Blast takes flight to a destination he hasn't returned to in a very long time, yet which haunts him every day. Many moons ago, Rio Blast was once marshal on a rough backwater planet, Starband. There was a whole cadre of star marshals who were his compatriots on the wild and rough outback of the band until the coming cataclysms, a meteor flying towards the planet, and then it hits. A massive asteroid struck, dispatched by the evil Horde, struck the planet, annihilating its surface. All the inhabitants, including the star marshals, perished, save one. Rio Blast was on the furthest part of orbit on space side, transferring from astro jail debris. Debris. There should be a period there, but it kind of blends in with the L of jail. Debris from the impact threw him off course to a new destination. As learned in the ancient archives of the UK Masters of the Universe magazine, issue number 28, The Weird Woods of Eternia. So I guess this is like an origin that was in those UK comics, which I never got to see. Max Games and Toys is here. Well, I'm opening up Rio Blast. I'm doing a rare Sunday show. I don't usually do Sunday shows, but I'm doing one today. So then we go back to the Horde ship flying through space, and it says, though it has been many years, Rio Blast searches the ruins of the lost world he so cherished, carrying an ember of hope that something or someone survived. That is some purple prose. That is some writer doing writer shit right there, like in a children's toy pack-in comic. Well, it's an adult collectible since it's Mattel Creations, but you know what I mean. The frontal hemisphere remained dead and desolate, yet from communication waves, a voice spoke out. Now just hold your star engines. I'm no Horde. I just hijacked their ship. Well, why didn't ye tell us? Slingshotting around the planet's bend, the starship Silver Streak firing upon Rio's Horde glider. Star marshals! I thought I was the last of our kind. And then we see there's a robot and a mantis-looking guy and a guy who looks kind of like a wolf. And it says, "What? You wanted to keep the glory for yourself?" And so Rio Blast was invited to dock with the craft and met with its crew, who he was shocked to recognize. After years of anguish, Rio Blast was shocked to learn that it was the front half of Starband which was destroyed, while the back half survived. Marshals, fate has brought us together. I could use your help. The evil that destroyed the face of Starbrand now threatens Eternia, the heinous Horde act. As dramatized in the mini-comic, the Horde invasion. So we see there he is with the other star marshals on the surface of the planet. And then the robot guy says, "But how can we stop an invasion of that magnitude?" And Rio Blast says, "We don't have to overturn the whole dang thing. We just need to make a difference, and I know just how. Forward to the vets, meet your final destiny." Oh, I think that's actually Modular talking. "Forward to the vets, meet your final destiny." Back on Eternia, before the stomach-churning vats of the slime pit, the air stinks of despair. So one thing that's annoying about this is they keep putting like these establishing captions at the bottom of the panels. That's why I keep reading them last. Max James says, "Yeah, Rio Blast, the brave star of Motu. Do you believe that Rio Blast is an indispensable figure for the Motu line, or is it only for the deepest fans?" Well, that's actually a very good question. Like I mentioned earlier, he was the last well, not the last, but one of the last figures that I got in the original vintage line. So he does have a bit of a special place in my heart. But then again, he was towards the tail end of the vintage line, and I kind of feel like those are the figures that kind of get overlooked a little bit. Like Extendar is another one. I kind of feel like Clamp Champ would have fallen into that category if not for the fact that he was like the only black guy that was made as a figure. So he gets a little more attention just because of that. Uh, Ninjor and Scareglow get a lot of attention just because they're awesome. And of course, Sorceress and King Randor were pre-existing characters. But oh, Max says you're a great voice actor. Well, thank you. All right, so let's get back to the story. Rio Blast says, "Fate has other plans, Bucko," and he snaps in his laser backpack, and the other Star Marshals draw their weapons. Kachoom! Take cover! And you see like Leech getting knocked over. Fight back! No oppressor is invincible, and the prisoners start fighting back as well since they've got the Star Marshals on their side now. Glug, blog, bloop. Attacks shoot right through. Yes, that's a right good thing. We got to figure out how to free them of this curse before they turn us into one of them. And he's like got Rio Blast trapped in a bubble. And destroy the source of the cursed slime. Well, since you asked, I guess he got out of the bubble series again with the Mantis guy firing next to him. Using the force of their awesome arsenal, the Star Marshals destroyed the slime pit as Hordak's henchmen fled. Upon the pit's destruction, the villagers were released from the curse of the slime. So there we go. And then the wolf-looking guy says, "We did it! We destroyed the slime pit! Don't get too excited. The pit is just one of many. There's many more villages to be saved. Our mission has only just begun." And then one of the villagers gives them these robotic horses and says, "Please, Star Marshals, as a token of our goodwill, take these robo horses." And Rio Blast says, "Oh no, one of the it's one of the other villagers says, you will need them on your rescue quest." And then Rio Blast is on the horse. Yeehaw! So now he finally has a horse. I guess you could just use a Stridor. So oh, Lone Dragon's here now. Okay, good, because you haven't missed anything. I haven't read an entire mini comic. And so the Marshals rode off into the vast sunset as they journeyed to save another village, their weapons poised, hearts determined, and their eyes often looking to the stars. Did I mention there's some purple prose in this children's pack-in toy comic? Even though technically it's with an adult collectible, but it still, says ages 6 and up. So I'm going to say it's new for 25. So there we go. I thought I'd mention that. And like I said, unfortunately, no cross-sell artwork or bio or anything on the back, but it's a really nice piece of artwork, so I appreciate that. And this will be a package that I'll actually keep since they made it resealable, and that's nice. I like that. All right, so let's go ahead and get Rio Blast out of the package. He does indeed have some of my despised rubber tabs holding him in, with my newly added sharpened X-Acto blade. I can very easily cut them, or at least I could easily cut them if they weren't, again, placed at like the worst possible spots, like deep down in this package. And he's got those chaps, so that makes it kind of difficult to get to it, but I think I got to all of them. I don't see any other ones. So let's go ahead and get them out of there. So there were designs that were made in the vintage line for a He-Man and Skeletor figure, He-Man and Skeletor figures that had panels that flip down out of their chests, and He-Man's had like a cannon or something that came out of it. Skeletor's was like a dragon head, but He-Man's was like a cannon. Kind of similar to what we later on saw with Rio Blast. And thankfully, saner heads prevailed, and while they did wind up using that gimmick, they wound up using it on a Space Cowboy, which, having a cyborg Space Cowboy is cool, but having a cannon that folds out of He-Man's chest is kind of weird and creepy. I'm not too fond of that idea. I'd seen artwork of it before, but most recently I saw it on the Battle Ram blog Facebook page, and I left the comment with that, the meme with the girl where she's kind of like that, and then kind of like that, the blonde girl, and I left a meme on there where I said like, uh, cannon flipping out of He-Man's chest, cannon flipping out of Faker's chest. So that would have been cool to have a Faker that had a cannon that flipped out, but He-Man, it was kind of weird. So Rio Blast does indeed have all of the guns that folded out of the original Rio Blast. He's got the blasters that are permanently attached to his hands, but they kind of flip back when not in use. And he's got this hidden cannon in his chest, which folds back in, and underneath each of his chaps, he has some extra guns. Lone Dragon says, "I have a cannon that folds out of my crotch." Yeah, well, I think most men have that. All right, so let's go ahead and get the backpack out. And this has a locking mechanism on his back. You can see you kind of twist it on here. So let's go ahead and get that on. And now the figure is fully assembled. And just like with the original figure, the cannon slides up and then fits over his head with these goggles. And I accidentally knocked the tube out of his back. So yeah, these tubes are separate. And one end goes in the back and one end goes into his wrists. So that's what he looks like when he's all assembled. Let's go ahead and flip all the guns back down so we can see him just with all of his arsenal fully deployed. Max says, "I heard it comes with a blister pack that can be moved without breaking it." Yep. It's like basically the card just slips out the back, and then the blister comes out like any normal action figure package. But since it's not glued on, we can actually take the card back and put it back into the package. Now, one thing that I think could have improved this greatly is that we can see that the card back actually does have a hole punch in there, and it's still in there. It's not, while it is punched, it's not actually popped out, but there is no corresponding hole punch in the packaging. And I think it would have been nice if there was a way to, like how I have these figures hanging on my wall. It would be nice if you could, hang them on your wall that way. That would be a cool way to display that. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. But there's a constructive criticism, if Mattel wants to do that at some point. But yeah, like I want to say Roger Sweet, when he was talking about Masters of the Universe or He-Man or whatever it is he likes to call it, he was saying that he was kind of looking at it as a catch-all kind of toy line where you could have any type of character in there, and Rio Blast is no exception. So here we've got a cyborg cowboy in something that was previously a barbarian fantasy line with some sci-fi elements. Rio Blast definitely leans very hard into the sci-fi part of it. There's very little barbarian fantasy about this guy, and most of what remains of that is vestigial at best. He does still have that ripped sort of look that barbarian characters have. And honestly, you could probably take this head and put it onto a regular He-Man body, and it wouldn't look out of place as a barbarian character. But as we read in the mini comic, this guy is almost entirely a sci-fi character with more than fantasy. He's got like elements of the Old West in him, which is a completely different kind of fantasy, a uniquely American fantasy, because the Old West, while it was a real historical time period, I don't think when most people think of the Old West, they're really thinking of like that version of it. They're thinking of like what they'd seen in movies with John Wayne or Roy Rogers or Clint Eastwood. Those are all very different versions of the West from each other, but they still seem like the West. And none of those was all that much like the real life Old West. My personal favorite Western movie, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a realistic or historically accurate one, but it's a lot of fun, is Tombstone, which I really enjoyed. And that one is based on a true story, but it's its own telling of it. From what I've read about the real life gunfight at the OK Corral and all the people and incidents surrounding that, is that usually your movies, history is written by the winner. So, usually in the movies, like Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, those guys are clearly the good guys. And, the Cowboys, Curly Ray and Johnny Ringo and all them, Ike Clanton, are clearly the bad guys. And in real life, it was a little more complicated than that. I'll just put it that way. But you can research all that yourself. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that movie. That's one of my favorite Western movies. And he does have a little bit of that Wyatt Earp look with the big mustache and everything. So that's pretty cool. He does not have a cowboy hat, which you would think of most cowboys as having a cowboy hat. But my guess is they probably thought it would interfere with their backpack mechanism here. And the backpack mechanism, like I said, it does function exactly the way I remember the original one functioning when I was a kid. But I should point out that the silver color of it is much lighter and brighter than I remember it being, which was like a little more on the gunmetal side of silver. Like say the power sword here, it was more like that sort of color. See how it's a little bit darker? The 2000X power sword. Since I know people out there love that term, so. Anyway, Rio Blast is really cool. They did a really good job with him. Max had asked earlier if I consider him an essential character, and like, I don't know if most people would consider him an essential character, but he's definitely an essential character to me because of my nostalgic attachment to him. Lone Dragon says, I thought that was called a porn stash. Well, you can call it whatever you want. I remember in the movie This Is 40, there was the scene with Megan Fox and Jason Segel and the guy from the IT crowd. Forget that actor's name, but yeah, they were in the hot tub, and she said she assumed he was gay because of his mustache. And no, this isn't a homosexual mustache. This is a heterosexual mustache. And she's like, what's the difference between a homosexual mustache and a heterosexual mustache? And without missing a beat, the Jason Segel character says, the smell. So I know my mustache smells like a heterosexual mustache, and I know why. We don't need to talk about that anymore. I know this ain't a show made for kids, but it ain't a show made for Orange YouTube either. So anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot one thing. I forgot to talk about his articulation. So let's go ahead and go over that. Rio Blast can't really look up that far because of long hair. He looks down about that far, tilts his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotates the head all the way around. The arms, in theory, should rotate all the way around, but they've got these tubes that are going to get in the way. By the way, are the arms removable? They are indeed. They do come out. All right, so we got that down. There is a little kind of cubby hole here, I noticed, where the laser can fit in when he doesn't have it deployed. But I think it's more decorative than anything else. It doesn't really, go into it. But you can imagine it'd be kind of like how the gun folds into RoboCop's leg, like it could fold into his wrists the same way. Max says, I think if this figure had been sent to retail, it would have ended up at Ollie's. Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, he is a niche character. Like I do think that that's the case. Like I said, I don't think most people would consider Rio Blast an essential character, but just because of my personal history with the line, he probably is one. Extendar would be a similar thing. I'm probably gonna try to get that Extendar figure also. So Rio Blast, he does have a single joint of articulation at the elbows, bends in about that far, bends out about that far, and of course that rotates all the way around again, except for the hose. Since he's got this cable attached to it, it's gonna get in the way. Wrist rotates all the way around and moves in a horizontal hinge back and forth that way. Same with the right hand. Rio Blast twists all the way around at the waist, kicks up about that far, has a single jointed single jointed articulation of the knee. Knee rotates all the way around, and then this is where it's going to get kind of interesting, I think, because his articulation is different. It's like much higher than it is. So it's not quite a boot cut, but it's a chap cut. And it rotates all the way around. Foot points down about that far, points up about that far. It's going to kind of bump into the chaps a little bit, and it does rotate all the way around. So there we go. That's the articulation on this guy. So that's pretty much it. Rio Blast is some people call him a space cowboy, some people call him the gangster of love. I like to call him Maurice. So so yeah, pretty cool figure, but like we discussed, kind of on the niche end of things, but definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of this character, and I am. And like I said, every 80s toy line could use a cowboy. So here's our cowboy for Masters of the Universe. That's it for this episode. I've got a lot more cool stuff coming up this week. Tomorrow will be the 24th, and then the 25th is Wednesday. So, or Tuesday is the 25th. Wednesday is my birthday. So I will have something special to open up on Wednesday. But like as it is, let's see. I've got the other things that I've got from Mattel Creations, which is I have the Masterverse version of Vicron and the Origins figure of Hero. So we will have both of those to open next week. And yeah, on my birthday. Oh, thank you. On my birthday, I will open up something very special for my birthday. You're just gonna have to wait and see what that is. If you want to make sure you don't miss that, make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and the character of Rio Blast in general. Have you read those UK Masters of the Universe comics? Are they worth me hunting down and trying to read them? Let me know in the comments if you've read them. We will talk to you next time. Bye.